Hey YouTube, so I'm making that apple compote recipe today. It's a happy medium between applesauce and apple pie filling. So this is what I'm doing right now. I've just got all my apples that I'm going to be processing here. I'll be cutting them up. These are from the apple tree. You can see they have very few blemishes, but I will be cutting out the cores, the blemishes, and I will be eventually cutting off the skin as well. But all the good skin I will keep because my children love eating the apple skins. And I can also use the apple skins that are good for making apple jelly. So I'm going to go ahead and keep all the apple skins that look good, and all the ones that don't look so great, I will peel them off. So I've my bowl for throwing out cores and skins, the apples, and I've got the chopped apples there for further chopping later. So this is just one example of an apple. See, it's nice and white flesh on the inside. I'm not sure which type this apple is, but it's semi-sweet. And I'm going to go ahead and chop this up, and I will come back once I've got all my apples cut up and chopped up. So all the apples have been chopped, and they were sprinkled with a little bit of lemon juice overnight, actually 2 nights because I didn't get to it the first night. So this is 2 days later from when I've chopped up all the apples. Now they're in a pot with 2 cups of water. Now I'm going to put the recipe up on the screen for the average batch, and if you need to make more, you can just double or triple the recipe. But the ingredients in here are apples, cinnamon. I put 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, I put 2 cups of water, and I put the leftovers of what I used to make vanilla. So you could just use vanilla pods, the seeds inside the vanilla pods, or just vanilla essence. A teaspoon of that if it's going to be the essence, and the seeds of 1 pod if it's going to be a pod, and 1.5 cups of sugar. So that's up to you for taste. I will show on the recipe it does ask for more, but for all these apples there is just about 8 pounds of cut up cubed apples here. So that's what I did. And I also added one more ingredient, and that is not in the recipe, and that is rice flour. The rice flour works the same way tapioca starch or cornstarch would work. And I used 2 tablespoons in here. And I always mix the cornstarch with a little bit of cold water, and it helps to dissolve it before pouring it into the pot or whatever you're going to put it into. So you can see here that, maybe you'll be able to see, that this liquid now has been cooking for 5 minutes, and the liquid itself is thicker than water, you know, a good bit thicker than water, and it might thicken up a little more, but you can see here the consistency is thicker. My jars are now sterilized, and I'm going to go ahead and pour this mixture into the jars. I have my 5-pint jars here ready to go. Okay, so I've ended up with 6 jars of the apple compote, and I have about 1.5 cups extra in my pot that I will use to make an apple crisp tonight. So these are warm jars going into warm water, and that's just the big key for anything that you're making with the water bath canner. If it's cold jars, cold food inside the jars, then you're going to have cold water just so that it will avoid the chance of cracking the jars. So I've got my jars here ready to go. Just boiling the water right here in my smaller pot, which I'm turning into a water bath canner, because as long as the pot is deep enough to hold the jar submersed underwater, then you've got a deep enough pot. So I'm going to use that to do this small batch of apple compote. I'm just going to go ahead and put the lids on, and I will put them in the pot while the water heats up. And it's going to water bath can for 10 minutes. That's the processing time for the apple compote. So I'll come back when they're in the pot. My rims are all cleaned and wiped down, and my lids are on. They're going to have a rolling boil in no time because that water was pretty hot. And as you can see, I only have 5 in there. My 6th one has to stay out because I forgot this pot only holds 5 jars. That's fine. I will either reboil it for 10 minutes as soon as I take one of these out at the 10-minute mark, or I will just put it in the fridge and use it this week. No big deal. the time doesn't start for processing water bath canning jars until it's at a full rolling boil. So it's almost there, but once it's at a full rolling boil, I will start the timer. Okay, we have achieved full rolling boil status, and I'm about to set the timer. I'll come back in 10 minutes when this is ready. So here they are out of the water bath canner, or out of the pot, and here we have 6 pints of what they call in the recipe apple compote. The reason I went with apple compote is because it's almost like a happy medium between applesauce and apple pie filling. The pieces are smaller, so the little cubes are not quite as big as maybe you would have for apple pie in the slices, but you can still easily make an apple pie out of it. And when they're cut up this small, it goes very nicely with all sorts of things. I've seen some suggestions for using the compote with something as simple as just whipping cream on top and eating it as is, all the way to ice cream as a topping. The sky's the limit with all the things you can do with it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comment section. And until next time, we'll see you in the next video, and thank you for watching. God bless you. Bye for now.